Okay, so I've chosen 5 paintings that I'm going to show you today. They are from different times, they're on different supports, they're on different media, but I've chosen because there's a conversation between them that I kind of like to sort of talk to you about. So the first one is called Connecticut Blue Lift, and I did this when I was at the Annie and Joseph Albers Foundation in Connecticut, so the title. And it's a watercolour and gouache on paper. And the title lift refers, it's an architectural term referring to the layers of bricks or stones or something in a building. And so it's got various layers to it, and I kind of wanted that to be referred to in the title. There were a few small areas. The painting obviously has to work as one whole, but within it there were a few small areas that I remember being very kind of aware of as I was painting it. One of them is this area in the bottom left-hand corner, and it's a very neat line that formed in the making of the painting. And then there is a point towards the very end where, and I can't remember exactly what made me do it, but I remember feeling the need to do it, to just cross-hatch in with pencil some of these pale blue lines from early on in the painting. And that works. And in a similar way, over on this top right-hand corner, I came back to it and started painting it a bit more, and then decided to just stop and let this part of the painting be different to the rest of it. And so each corner of this feels like it's got something of its own going on. The next painting was done at the same time, so it has the title Connecticut again. This one's called Bleeper. And then this painting, I did a ground of gouache lines in much the same way that I score an aluminium panel, and I wanted to see how the difference in that surface between the white of the paper and the white of the gouache would affect the painting that went on top of it. And it did affect it, and I was actually quite pleased with the way that came out. It's very gentle, but the grid that's made in the underpainting just gently kind of alters the watercolour that's gone on top of it. And that watercolour happened in sort of quite a frenzied single movement, but all the activity at the beginning of the making of this painting has come through and done exactly what I wanted it to do. Now this painting, called Fleet, this referred back to a point before these two paintings, compositionally, but took elements of these paintings in its structure. So that I just wanted to put in the middle of those. And it's an oil on scored aluminium, and you can just see perhaps the very fine score marks in the painting there. And I did a couple of paintings of different sizes that sort of were in this series, but this was very successful, and I showed this one at the Royal Academy Summer Exhibition a few years ago with another painting, and they look really good together there. So, this painting. This is called Surgeon 1. There is Surgeon 2. And I painted this again, drawing on a painting, I'm going to say technique, but it doesn't feel like the right word, but a painting technique from a few years before. And I was revisiting a body of work, and I used for this a brush that is actually made for sign writing, and it has a very particular point on it, and that point laid the paint down in a way that gave rise to this edge here. And you only notice it at this point, but it is throughout the painting. But because it meets the edge of the painting, you notice it most there. This painting is very recent, and it has within it almost a kind of game. I'm not going to tell you about that game, but it described it to me. I didn't know at the outset that that was going to happen. I just started painting, and then something happened a little way into it that triggered that, and I just took it from there to see what would happen, and it worked out. So that does happen sometimes, and it kind of, the painting, in doing the painting, creates a rule, or which feels like you're engaging with it, and it just asks for you to continue painting in a particular way. That's what happened here, and I'm happy with that. That's come good.